Hey everybody, and welcome to the very first Epic Sports Show. I'm JJ, and this is my co-host Ryan. We are looking to give you an insight into the NFL. Specifically tonight, we are going to be breaking down the first round of the NFL Draft. And as the show progresses in the weeks to come, we will be evaluating every NFL team's offseason and giving them team grades and our opinions of how their upcoming seasons would turn out, based on the current state of the franchise. So, with the NFL Draft coming to a close, what better way to start off our show than to talk about the first round, pick by pick? And we start with the Cleveland Browns and the selection of Baker Mayfield. What do you think about that pick?
Well, I mean, from the standpoint of them needing a franchise quarterback, and I really like Tyrod. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't do anything to make you lose the game. But at the same time, he doesn't do all the special things like Aaron Rodgers does or Tom Brady and the way of just taking over a game. So,
but he's a winner, though.
Oh, yeah, he is a winner. He is a winner.
That's one thing that, we could take away is that he is a winner. He does have leadership qualities, although a lot of people don't really necessarily like the way he goes about his business.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it became more apparent as the draft process went on that John Dorsey, the GM, just started falling in love with Baker Mayfield and his potential. And at the beginning of the process, it was really Josh Allen or Sam Darnold, and we even heard whispers of a Josh Rosen going number one overall up until he kind of said, well, I don't really want to go to Cleveland. And it wasn't until 24 hours before the draft that we kind of saw Baker Mayfield as a potential number one pick.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, everybody kind of thought Josh Allen would kind of go first with his strong arm and how the North usually kind of goes after strong-armed quarterbacks. And
it fits the inclement weather in Cleveland and Josh Allen, that is. Baker Mayfield's kind of a smaller statue. If you're going to make a pro comparison, a lot of people like to compare him to Russell Wilson, but he is 6'1". Russell Wilson's about 5'10" and some change.
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm going to compare him to somebody, I think I'm going to compare him to a better, stronger arm Case Keenum.
Yeah, that, or maybe you can even go like kind of way back and think of like kind of a Jeff Garcia type player.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the running ability, and some people might not think it translates to the NFL because he doesn't have a great speed or anything like that. But I mean, Jeff Garcia really wasn't like anything spectacular either, but he definitely had a great accuracy, and he didn't have the biggest arm or anything like that. And
one of his biggest attributes is his deep ball accuracy, and it's going to be interesting to see if he. Do you think he starts day one?
Day one, I kind of think it kind of depends on maybe the preseason, even though people don't think the preseason plays a huge part. But you kind of look at like past stuff, like with Dak, he was getting huge praise and everything, and he wouldn't have been day one starter if Tony Romo didn't go down. But a lot of people kind of looked at the preseason and were like, oh, he was just completely dominated. He's going to be awesome, blah, blah, blah.
And I think with the recent successes of quarterbacks, teams are more pressured into starting their number one picks. But that's not always the case. You saw the Rams give Jared Goff 7 starts, and he clearly wasn't ready. And it wasn't until last year when Sean McVay came in, it really, helped him go over that hump. I think Baker Mayfield is going to get a couple of spot starts because Tyrod's durability. He's never played a full 16-game season, I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he is the type of guy who's not going to win you football games with his arms. But he can manage a football game. Tyrod Taylor, that is.
Yeah.
And the thing Baker Mayfield has going into the season is he's got 3 really solid receivers and a tight end that's up and coming. And a rookie running back and Carlos Hyde behind him. But they did lose Joe Thomas in the offseason due to retirement. So that's going to be a big blow.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely tried it in the later rounds to kind of help out with it. But, I mean, Joe Thomas is just kind of a big thing that you just can't replace.
They drafted Sean Coleman in the third round a couple of years back, and I think he's going to step in the left tackle position. But, yeah, I mean, hopefully Cleveland gets it right. And then, if they don't, then it's just going to set them back 5 years. But if they do, expect them to compete in the AFC North for years to come. With the second pick, though, Saquon Barkley goes to the New York Giants. This is a pick I really liked. He's going to step in day one. And I think immediately you're going to see him give you 1,100 to 1,300 yards rushing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Double-digit touchdowns.
And you think how much he's going to help Eli out.
Yeah.
I mean, Eli hasn't had a running back in a very long time. I mean, when you think about his skill set, I mean, it probably goes back all the way to Tiki Barber, and that's just been a long-ass time ago, I mean. Eli gets in trouble, he can easily dump it out. I mean, Saquon showed that he can be in the passing game, and it'd just be the easy dump out. Just so he gets in trouble, you know. And you don't know exactly what the line they came in and kind of shored it up a little bit. They went in the later rounds and drafted another guy, and he got Solder from the Patriots.
And then they ended up getting Willie Hernandez, second round, who's going to be plug and play guy as well. And from day one, he's going to come in and start left guard, possibly right guard. They did lose, Justin Pugh and Weston Richburg, I believe, in the offseason. So their O-line still got some issues. They still got some problems to sort out. Were you kind of surprised, though, that they didn't go quarterback, especially with how deep this quarterback class was?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I was a little bit surprised, but then at the same time, you're just like, if they didn't get a quarterback, they believe in Eli Manning and what he brings to their table. And you think
Shermer's just going to try to squeeze out as much as he can from this guy?
Like, he thinks he can get this team to the playoffs and go deep in the playoffs by sticking with Eli right now, and they didn't even address the quarterback,
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Pat Shurmur did wonders with Case Keenum and Sam Bradford. They had their best seasons by far. Mm-hmm. And, that West Coast heavy run offense that he brings to the Giants, it's just going to fit perfectly with what, Saquon Barkley does. And they Shurmur likes to run a three receiver set a lot of the time. It helps the running back spread out a lot. So I love the pick by the Giants. And I think they won the draft because in the first 3 rounds they selected 3 starters.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And not a lot of teams did that.
Yeah.
So
they're definitely just plug and play. They're going to be ready to go in and hopefully make an impact for their team.
Yeah, that's true. And you saw as the draft progressed, you sort of got a lot of like picks that were kind of like, wow.
Yeah.
And the Jets traded from pick 6 to pick 3 to take Sam Darnold, quarterback from USC. And you kind of wonder, had they stayed put at 6, would they have been able to land Sam Darnold? Yeah, but it's a woulda, shoulda, coulda type of thing.
Same with the Patriots, supposedly really liking Baker Mayfield and possibly going to 2. But
that is true. But Sam Darnold's a perfect choice, I think, for the Big Apple. He's somebody that's not going to start right away. I think McCown's going to come in. But I think of all the quarterbacks that has the best chance to start, it's definitely Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at all the players around him. You have Josh McCown and you have Teddy Bridgewater. And Bridgewater showed a lot of potential, but you never know how he's going to come back.
There's rumors that he might not even make the team past August.
And you seen that he didn't really want to talk about his leg.
He's
people ask about questions.
He's so uncomfortable talking about his knee. But, I love Sam Darnold's accuracy. He's super accurate. He's got that quick release, but he's got that weird throwing motion that a lot of the teams kind of wonder if that's going to be kind of a Byron Leftwich type release, where it's going to take him a while to throw the ball. But then you see Phillip Rivers, whose release is unorthodox, and so
he makes it work.
And he's made it work for 14 plus years.
And you think about just even playing for the Jets here in New York with all the spotlights on you.
True.
I think he's a perfect quarterback for that fit. I mean, if you got Josh Rosen over there, I mean, you never know what he's going to say or tell anybody or what he tells the media, I mean, I think he's just a great fit overall. And, I mean, I would, like you said, I think he might be a day one starter depending on what goes on and how much they trust in Josh McCown, because he didn't do too bad last year when you think about it.
That is true. Yeah, that is very true. And, going back to Cleveland with the 4th pick, this might be the first surprise of the draft, is they ended up not going Bradley Chubb to pair with Myles Garrett, but they went Denzel Ward, cornerback from Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
Me being an Ohio State Buckeye fan, I got to see, Denzel Ward play a lot. And this is his first year starting. And Marshawn Lattimore and Garen Conley, who were taken in the first round last year, he could never really beat them out. I will say that he's a solid player, but is he better than Marshawn and Garen? I don't think he is. He's still a solid tackler, but he does get lazy in coverage. But if I was John Dorsey, I definitely would have went with Bradley Chubb to pair with Myles Garrett. What better way to stop a passing game than pass rush, right?
That would have been dominant. It would have been pretty freaking scary, like J.J. Watt, Clowney type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But all in all, we're not professionals. We just think we are. But yeah,
I mean, they kind of looked at him. Maybe they thought they just had a bigger hole at corner. You know, I mean, he's still a great.
They did trade for Demarius Randall from the
yeah.
Packers, earlier this offseason, but I believe that they plan on playing him at free safety this year. That defense is actually really solid. It's up and coming. They got Jamie Collins,
Myles Garrett,
Kirk Schobert, I believe, and another linebacker, forget his name. But that defense is definitely, with Greg Williams at the helm, is definitely up and coming. Yeah, Cleveland's actually looking pretty solid.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if these two first round picks, top 5 picks hit, and they hit jackpots with these guys, we're gonna be talking about John Dorsey as one of the best GMs.
Oh yeah, definitely. And, just like kind of me looking at it and just kind of wanting to shake things up. I was like, man, what could Cleveland do if they like completely threw everybody off and drafted Chubb first overall, and they came down and drafted Ward. I mean, they got 2 great defensive players that could be like just dominant for the next 10 years,
That is true, yeah.
And I'm not exactly sure who the next free agents are going to be, like quarterback wise down the road. I mean, if you got all these pieces there, like Jarvis Landry,
especially on rookie contracts.
Oh yeah, exactly. And
it allows them to build kind of what the Jaguars did.
Have kind of spending money for any like big name free agents. That was just kind of like a little thought that kind of went in my head,
Yeah.
But it happened how it happened.
Yeah. And to round out our top 5, Bradley Chubb, defensive end from NC State, was taken at number 5. Did you think Denver was ever going to go with the quarterback? I personally never thought they would go quarterback. I think from day one they were sold on Case Keenum to be that guy.
Yeah.
Had like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield been there, I think they would have took him. But Bradley Chubb,
that's not a bad fallback. I mean, even with that pick too, I mean, you kind of see what they think of Shane Ray, and the last few days they had a chance to take his 5th-year option, and they definitely decided not to take it, and kind of see Shane Ray might be out the door here pretty soon with them playing.
And when Shane Ray's healthy, and he does play, he's actually a pretty dominant linebacker, and he is a pretty solid linebacker. So if he can stay healthy and a contract year, look out for this Denver Broncos pass rush to be up there with Philadelphia Eagles and the Jacksonville Jaguars as the most dominant. Kind of want to take a moment to, if you guys who are viewing us have any questions, you want us to answer them, throw them out in the comment section, and we're looking at the comments as they go by. And so if y'all have any questions for us, just throw them out. But getting back to the draft, the Colts, I think, did a fantastic job with Frank Rick's very first draft. Yeah. They took Quentin Nelson, the guard from Notre Dame, who people like to compare to Steve Hutchinson. And this is a guy that is immediately going to come in and start day one. He is going to help Andrew Luck stay healthy, which they need to protect their franchise. I really love this pick. It was amazing. It was a great pick.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. I mean, when you look at it, they have to protect Andrew Luck, I mean, he's been hurt the last year, and he was out all of last year, and that's their guy. I mean, they literally sent Peyton packing for this guy. I mean, they pretty much have to go all in on him. When you look at Peyton's, what he did after he got dropped from the Colts, I mean.
And, you look at the Colts depth chart in the offensive line. They got Quentin Nelson. They drafted Ryan Kelly from the center from Alabama last year. But they still got Anthony Costanzo playing the left side and protecting Andrew Luck's blind side. He isn't your world beater at left tackle. I think he's more suited for the right. But that offensive line, slowly but surely, it's coming into fruition. I think a lot of people they're trying to copy what the Titans and the Cowboys did, and they try to emulate that offensive line formula. And you see more often than not, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You really got to hit on these linemen. But yeah, the Colts, to me, got a really, really good, a future 10 to 12 year starter right here. And and with the 7th pick, Buffalo traded from number 12 to number 7 to draft their quarterback of the future in Josh Allen. This is a guy that a lot of people pegged as the number 1 overall pick, and he falls 6 spots down. As to why he fell, I don't know if I want to get into that. But this is a guy who's got the biggest arm in the draft that I've seen in recent memory.
Oh, yeah.
This is a guy that can sling it with just a flick, but he does have accuracy issues. He did play Division II ball not the best competition. And
he
only passed 56% in his college
career.
career. I mean, is that
you think
historically it's not really?
It's nothing special. I mean, they're mainly going off of is this like potential with this pick, I think. And he said he has a big arm, kind of like a Joe Flacco type arm. I mean, he just has a cannon. And he said the last few years, I mean, he hasn't had any really impressive stats. I mean, nothing that really jumps off the table. And I think that's why Cleveland kind of got scared. You saying about his conference and everything. I mean, he should just be blowing some teams out if he was this like type of special player. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
Last year he had a little less than 2,000 yards passing. I mean, that's
yeah. So Bruce at 09 wants to know, who do you think won the draft?
Who I think won the draft?
Your honest opinion.
Honest opinion.
Don't play favorites. If you're asking me, I honestly believe the New York Giants and or the San Diego Chargers won the draft, or the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
It's still, but the Giants taking Saquon Barkley number 2. They took Will Hernandez, 2nd round, who's a plug-and-play guy.
Yeah.
Then in the 3rd round, they got Lorenzo Carter, who a lot of people thought he was going in the 1st round. Falls to the 3rd round. You pair him with Alec Ogletree, all of a sudden that defense is looking a lot better than it was prior to the draft.
I'm kind of liking what the Patriots did, and there's a big thing that Bill Belichick always says: he drafts for value and not really need and all that kind of stuff. But you kind of look what they lost, and they went out and they got themselves a lineman, and they got another running back to fill what they lost. And I think they really helped keep those pieces there for Tom Brady, you know. And there's a lot of speculation they might go after a quarterback, whoever that might have been, and they went and they kind of just shored up their offense just so Tom Brady had some weapons.
But do you play Isaiah Wynn as a left tackle, or do you play him as a left guard? Most people see him as a guard as opposed to a tackle.
I mean, I just kind of throw him out there and kind of see what happens, you know.
Yeah. But moving on to the Chicago Bears, they take Roquan Smith, this linebacker from Georgia, and watching him play in the playoffs and the championship game, this is a guy that just stands out on tape, and a guy that's a sideline-to-sideline guy. But he does have trouble shedding blocks. He needs a bigger guy to sort of alleviate the pressure off of him. But the Bears do have Eddie Goldman, nose tackle, who's a bigger guy that will take on 1 or 2 blockers at a time. And all of a sudden, this Chicago Bears defense is looking a little bit better. I
mean, Roquan's a great player. Last year he had 5.5 sacks. He ran a 4.51 in the combine. I mean, that's just like a freak at linebacker, you know. I mean, you think about people with a lot of speed that just has a nose for the ball, and you think about Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, and I think this guy's just going to be everywhere, all over the field, just like those guys were, you know.
Yeah, and can they say they got another one of their middle linebackers that they're historically good at? Look at Butkus and Urlacher and Smith. Could he be the next guy up? And Singletary. I can't forget about Singletary.
Yeah. You definitely think that's on the back of his mind, you know? That makes him want to strive for greatness.
Is that more pressure for him?
Could be either or.
In this Chicago Bears defense with Eddie Jackson, Adrian Amos, Fuller manning the number 1 corner position, who Green Bay did try to snag him. But Chicago's didn't allow it. This Chicago Bears defense is definitely up and coming. Mitchell Trubisky can, I don't want to say, exceed expectations, because what are the expectations for this guy? This is a guy that really 7 touchdowns and 7 picks. If he can just become sort of what an Alex Smith was early on in his career, as a game manager, have the defense kind of help him out. Chicago is in a really good spot, I think.
Oh, definitely.
And then every year there's going to be that reach that is going to really shock you guys or shock fans.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think this was the pick that everybody was like, why would you take this guy so early in the draft when you could have probably got him 8 to 10 picks later on in Mike McGlinchey, tackle from Notre Dame. You're a Niner fan. I think everybody who's viewing us knows that. What are your opinions on this pick?
With this pick, I mean, you kind of heard rumors that Oakland really, really wanted him, and if Oakland was right behind them, and you seen as soon as we picked, they kind of traded back, and I think they really like this pick. And you think about all the other needs that we have that are so-called needs. We have a lot of players like at cornerback and at free safety or safety that we got in the later rounds last year, and they had to kind of step in the role because we had a lot of injuries, and you had Tremaine Brock kind of getting dropped because of off the field issues and everything, and you had Killer Witherspoon come in, and he just kind of outplayed his draft pick. I want to say he was like a third, fourth round pick, and he just kind of came in and he was just doing everything right. After Dante Johnson came in, he'd been there for a while, and he wasn't playing at his full potential. And then later on, he got benched. Witherspoon came in and just never looked back. And then you look at us losing Eric Reed and Adrian Colbert. Mm-hmm. He got a chance later on. I think it was against the Cowboys. I want to say either Reed or Jaquiski Tartt got hurt, and Colbert, he's a 7th round pick, and he just came in. He was everywhere, all around the ball, and he was just out there making plays. And after that, the rest of the season, he was just everywhere. And I think that kind of shows that even though they're not highlight players that everybody knows, that they're kind of trusting those guys to come and make plays because they didn't fill those needs in the rest of the draft, maybe at corner. But with the Mike McGlinchey, I mean, you see that they didn't really trust Trent Brown.
He does have durability concerns, but this is a guy that even Von Miller called the best right tackle in football. McGlinchey, is he going to be that future left tackle to protect Garoppolo's blind side? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe he's better suited at this right side position. Staley's still got a couple of good years left in him, I believe.
And they just gave him an extension. I mean, that
shows
how good he's been playing here lately.
Yeah. So the pick to me was a reach, but I see why they would make the pick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so moving on, Minkah Fitzpatrick fell all the way. A lot of people at the beginning of the draft process thought this guy was going to be a top 5 pick. He falls all the way to 11 to the Miami Dolphins. This, to me, was early on the steal of the draft, and then later on in the draft, the steal of the draft happened. But you pair Minkah with Rashad Jones, and maybe in a year or two, you've got the best safety tandem in football. You pair him with Xavier Howard, who is an up-and-coming corner. Then Miami secondary is actually looking pretty decent. And their defensive line with Robert Quinn, Cameron Wake, if he can still squeeze a couple more years out of that guy.
And I think this pick is kind of, you can kind of stick him wherever you want, really, like kind of wherever you need him. Because specific.
He could play the slot. He could play safety. He could play a little bit of linebacker as well. Nick Saban loved this guy. Was a captain at Alabama, I believe, all 3 years he was there. Were you kind of expecting Miami to take a quarterback, though? I mean, Josh Rosen, and had he fell to Miami at 11, do you think they would have went with Josh Rosen? Or
I want to say yes, but at the same time, because I've never been a huge Tannehill fan myself. I don't know how Dolphin fans view Tannehill as, but it seems like they've had plenty of chances to either try to go out and pick up a player like Kirk Cousins or something like that. I don't know how their cap space is, but you never really heard any rumors of them trying to come in and get a big-time quarterback to replace him. So
I think Adam Gase is sold to the extent of Ryan Tannehill. Mm-hmm. He was never really given a fair shot to really see what he could do. Mm-hmm. He tore his ACL, I think, week 16, maybe a little bit earlier in that 16 season where he was having his best season of his career. Mm-hmm. But he's already 30 years old.
Yeah.
Durability issues, never really has been a winner. Mm-hmm. So maybe this is his last year to kind of prove to everybody that he can be that franchise guy. But I love the pick that Miami did.
Definitely.
Fitzpatrick. It's a perfect fit.
They didn't reach too high for a receiver. I mean,
no, they hit it on the nail with this pick. Maybe the safest pick in the draft.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Number 12, Vita Vea. The Bucks traded from number 7 to number 12 with the Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. And word out of Tampa Bay is that Jason Licht, the general manager, was ready to pull the trigger on Vita Vea at number 7 had he been there or had no one come in and swooped in. This is a guy that's a pretty athletic 2 technique. You're going to pair him with Gerald McCoy. Got Jason Pierre-Paul. suddenly these Tampa Bay defensive line, anyways,
Oh,
is looking really, really solid.
I mean, he's big. He's 6'4", 300 pounds. He's just gonna clog up that middle right there. I mean,
It's true, yeah.
and I thought it was crazy that they got him because a lot of people had Darwin pegged it with the Buccaneers, and
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
they had 2 times to try to draft him, and that's how much they believe in Vita Vea.
That's who I thought they were going to go with. I thought Derwin James was the guy here.
Oh, yeah.
They need safety help, but I guess Vita Vea was kind of another shocker to everybody who was watching the draft. But Tampa Bay maybe can make a push for the NFC South this upcoming year. If Jameis Winston can take that next step, we're going to be able to sort of see what this roster is.
You kind of look at the Falcons, like, historically. I mean, there's one year they're, like, really freaking good, and then the next year they kind of fall off out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And the next year they're good again. You kind of never know how consistent the Falcons are going to be. So I think Buccaneers are making the right moves to try to take that spot.
Yeah. Moving on, Daron Payne goes 13 to the Washington Redskins, defensive tackle from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
This was another reach. I thought this guy might have fell to the second round, but you pair him with Jonathan Allen, who was a first-round pick last year, his teammate at Alabama, and Washington's sort of, if Daron Payne can really hit, he got a pretty 1-2 punch there.
Oh, yeah, and he's great.
If Jonathan Allen can stay healthy, that is. When he did play, he did show some flashes. So
they look for him to clog up the middle of the field, I mean, they say he's a great run stuffer, and he's there. He had a dominant game against Georgia, and, the type of running backs that Georgia had last year. I mean, I think like you said, I think it's kind of a reach, but
this is another team that this is a team that I thought was in the running for Derwin James. This is a team that kind of needed safety help, and then they traded their best corner in Kendall Fuller to the Chiefs. They could have used a corner, maybe a Jair Alexander, but they went D-line, and
and maybe they think Skandrick will do enough to help them out.
But Skandrick's the type of player, he doesn't stay healthy, he doesn't stay on the field, but when he does play, he is a serviceable slot corner. But Washington, I didn't really love the pick, but I understand why they made the pick.
Oh yeah.
And then we saw a trade. I believe we saw the Green Bay Packers go from 14 to 26. And the Saints jumped from 26 to 14. And everybody's assuming Lamar Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Davenport, defensive end from UTEP. What do you think?
Man, a lot of people think that was the reach, I mean, he's played for a smaller school. They gave up a future first-round pick. I mean, with giving up a future first-round pick, this guy's got to be... You're putting a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
He's got to come out there and have 7-8 sacks, if not more. I mean, he's definitely very athletic. I mean, at defensive end, he ran like a 4.5 or something, 4.58, high 5.5, 4.5.
But I sort of disagree with you. I think Marcus Davenport has a chance to be defensive rookie of the year. This is a guy who's just explosive off the ball, who is going to get a lot of one-on-one matchups because Cameron Jordan on the other side is going to get them double teams. He's going to get chipped a lot. So I think Davenport can come in day one and really cause havoc to opposing linemen and maybe give you a double-digit sack guy.
Oh, yeah.
I like this pick, but I don't like it to the extent of giving up a lot to what they gave up.
Especially when whoever traded up with the Raiders, who was that?
The Raiders traded up?
Or traded back. I mean,
traded back with the Raiders?
Yeah, with the Cardinals. I mean, the Raiders didn't get as much as they probably could have compared to what the Packers got, I mean, it seems like the Saints gave up quite a bit for the few spots that they moved up. I mean...
Yeah, but this is a pick that I really like, but I don't know if I like it to the extent of giving up what they gave up. And then 15, John Gruden's first year back in the silver and black. He takes Colton Miller, tackle from UCLA, a guy who I thought was going to fall to the bottom of the first, early second, but he goes 15 to the Raiders. I think that kind of shows how they feel about Donald Penn, who didn't have a good season last year. He's
getting older.
Getting older, getting slower. This is an probably the most athletic lineman in the draft. He does need to get stronger. That's something he does need to work on. But I think right away from day one he starts at right tackle.
Oh yeah, definitely. You think, especially drafting somebody that high and somebody that's not expected to go nearly that high, they kind of think they seen something on the tape, and Gruden knows how to run an offense. You know
that one thing we will not deny him. He does know offense. So moving on, number 16, Tremaine Edmonds, 19-year-old kid from Virginia Tech, goes to the Buffalo Bills at 16.
And
this is a guy who jumps off the tape, but at 19 years old, is he ready enough? Is he experienced enough to sort of be that Mike linebacker that people think he's going to be?
Man, a lot of people before the draft, all of these mock drafts that weren't even nowhere close to what happened, but they had him going top 10 to either the Bears or the 49ers, and that's crazy that he dropped that far. I mean, he's just an athletic freak that has a high potential. I mean, you think he's just going to come out there
and they do need. This is a guy that can come in and he can block Rob Gronkowski or he can cover Rob.
Oh yeah,
and he's got fast. He's got the quickness. He's got the coverage ability. That's why I think Buffalo made this pick is because they know, hey, if we're going to win this division, we're going to have to stop number 87 on the other side. So yeah, I mean, I personally love this pick. I don't know if he's quite ready, but he is going. They're going to force him to start, I think.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this Buffalo Bills defense does look pretty solid. You know, you got Tre'Davious White, who, in my opinion, was the best rookie corner in the NFL last year. Then you got Micah Hyde, safety. Then Vontae Davis, man, on the other side. This Buffalo Bills defense is really up and coming.
I mean, you think with Tyrod last year and the few weapons that they had, I mean, that defense had to carry them.
Yeah,
made them get to the playoffs. I mean, I thought that was kind of a surprising team that made the playoffs.
And if, you know, A.J. McCarron and or Josh Allen can just manage the game, get the ball to LaShawn McCoy, get the ball to Kelvin Benjamin here and there, Buffalo's offense is going to be decent enough. They did lose Incognito. They lost Cordy Glenn. That's going to be suspect. See how they fall back on that.
See what happens with Incognito, too.
Yeah,
he wasn't real happy with the contract they gave him, so he kind of retired.
Yeah,
and then
that is true. But like I said, 16 picks down, 16 picks to go. When we come back, we're going to finish up the draft. And like I said, if you guys have any questions for us, leave them in the comment section, and we'll try to answer them when we come back from break. See you guys.
Does it stop? All this pressure, all this panic, stop. Stuck inside these feelings that keep haunting me. I wish that I could find a drop of peace. Does it stop? I need love to come and say you're safe tonight. I won't let it pull you under. Safe tonight. Even though you feel the thunder, I got you, I'm with you. Keep on holding on to me. You're safe tonight. You are safe tonight. You are safe. You are safe. You are safe tonight. Defeat. Struggling, but I'm trying to believe. Fighting like a soldier, cause the battle in my heart between the light and all the dark feels like defeat. Then your love came in and said you're safe tonight. I won't let it pull you under. Safe tonight. Even though you feel the thunder, I got you, I'm with you. Keep on holding on to me. You're safe tonight. fire. You walk me through all the danger. No matter what, no matter what. Hey, when I'm in the line of the fire, you walk me through all the danger. You lift my head and say, you are safe, you are safe, you are safe tonight. You are safe, you are safe, you are safe tonight. You are safe, you are safe, you are safe tonight. It's a hypocritical kind of love that I'm feeling. It's a wonder why I haven't folded. I've been so deceiving. I kinda hope that you don't know where I go when I'm thinking. I don't know if I can make it out. I've got my doubts, I'm sinking. Oh, what I know I need. Make me see why you're everything I need. Don't let me let you down.
Welcome back to the Epic Sports Show. So at number 17, still the draft. Derwin James, still from the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a guy that I believe should win top 10. Falls all the way to 17. 4.47 guy, 40-inch vertical.
Voices that I
I
hear.
mean, just looking at all mock drafts, I mean, nobody expected him to go this late in the draft. I mean, everybody had a top 10 for sure. Like, I don't think I've seen one mock that didn't have a top 10. And he said, nope, he's still in the draft. And easily.
Slowly but surely, the Los Angeles Chargers are becoming a team that's
yeah.
reckoned in the NFL. I believe they finished 7-2 the last 9 games.
And you think about their games that they lost, there's like, what, 3 games where they lost by game-winning field goal? Or,
The special teams.
oh, yeah.
But if they can get those correct, this to me, this is the team that we need.
Oh, yeah. Melvin Gordon, like, he had like, a really great year.
Keith Middle came back from the ACL.
And he stayed healthy all year.
Stayed
for the
healthy, and you
first
saw
time.
what he could do.
Oh, man.
Arguably a touchdown receiver.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Man, he surprised me. I was like, oh, he can't come back and do what he used to do. And the last year, he got hurt again. Oh, he can't come back and then he's going to beat a lot.
Yeah. And Derwin James is projected for a strong safety. They got a top 5, top 3 corner in Casey Hayward, Joey Bosa. Then they got Ingram. This is a defense that's really up and coming, and a defense that's really to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah,
in
definitely.
next year. Offensively, the offensive line, who a couple years ago was a weak point for the Los Angeles Chargers, and now they're arguably a stout offensive line with Forrest Lamp manning the right guard, Mike Pouncey coming from Miami, Dan Feeney coming back from injury, or it might have been Forrest Lamp who missed his entire rookie season. Russell Okung, if he can keep that consistency that they built on last year, Los Angeles offensive line is looking really, really good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think then you kind of look at their division. Their division just kind of totally changed up. Aside from the Raiders, you got Kansas City Chiefs going with what's his name? Their quarterback. Going away from Alex Smith.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And you kind of think they kind of they're going to take advantage of that.
And let's not forget
the
Mike
Broncos
Williams,
also.
their number one pick,
Oh,
7 overall, hardly even played.
Mhm.
If they can get any sort of production from that kid, watch out. I'm telling you, Los Angeles is a team to be reckoned with in 2018.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think it'll be either them or the Raiders competing for that number 1 spot in their division.
Let's not go that far, Ryan. I don't know if the Raiders are going to be that good.
You never know. I mean, they definitely have the firepower, and with Gruden coming back, and you don't know exactly what Gruden's going to do, but
Yeah.
they're definitely going to be up there.
So moving on, number 18, the Green Bay Packers select Jair Alexander, a cornerback from Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
I knew they were going to go defensive back. It seems like they go defensive back every year. They go Clinton Dix. They go Demarius Randall.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other kids, but it seems like they just can't hit on these corners. Hopefully Jair Alexander sort of flips the script and changes that mold.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you get any good production out of their defense and what Aaron Rodgers can do on offense, no matter the talent that he has on offense, I mean, he's just going to carry them no matter what. And you just want their production coming out of their defense. And I definitely think it's a great pick for a need. And I think he'll definitely help them out. And you see what they kind of did in the second round.
Yeah.
I mean, not going too much into that, but a lot of people even had him go in the first round. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a pretty big steal. I mean,
I projected Josh Jackson to go number 14 overall to the Packers, ended up going second, like you said.
mm-hmm.
And they also had Kevin King in the second round last year, cornerback for the Cal. If you see Josh Jackson, who I did get to see Iowa and Ohio State play against each other, and I did see Josh Jackson just destroy J.T.
Yeah.
Barrett. This is a kid who has a knack for the football.
Yeah.
Led the entire nation with 8 picks last year. Green Bay's gonna if they hit on these corners, they're definitely gonna look pretty nasty in the NFC North.
Definitely. And you think Alexander? I mean, a lot of good things that are said about him. That he's not afraid to tackle,
Yeah.
and that's definitely one really good thing that a lot of corners don't do, and that's really big.
Now, before I get to the Cowboys pick, Capital in the comment section says,
Mhm.
I read that Joey Bosa's brother, Nick Bosa,
Mhm.
is a better prospect than him. Well, he's already projected to be a top 5 pick, top 3 pick in next year's draft. If he declares, watching this guy play at Ohio State, he is exactly like Joey Bosa.
Oh yeah.
So whoever ends up with Nick Bosa is pretty much getting Joey Bosa
Oh yeah.
2.0. I wouldn't say he's a better prospect. He's not as much of a me player as Joey is. He's more of a team player than Joey is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's going to be a hell of a player when he turns pro in 2019. But that's for another day. So going with the number 19 pick, probably arguably the biggest surprise of the night. Leighton Vander Esch, linebacker from Boise State, goes 19 to the Dallas Cowboys. And I know what a lot of people are thinking. Who the hell is Leighton Vander Esch?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a guy who's an athletic linebacker
Great in the
who
passing
maybe takes over for Jalen Smith in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Maybe he takes over for Sean Lee in the outside.
Mm-hmm.
This is an athletic, pretty darn good coverage linebacker, although he only did it in 1 year. I can see why the Dallas Cowboys made this pick. I know a lot of people are saying, well, if you're going to take a linebacker, why didn't you just take Rashaan Evans,
Yeah.
who played against top-tier competition? Well, I can see why you want Rashaan Evans. This is a guy that plays against top-notch competition, who was in the SEC, but he doesn't have the coverage capabilities as Leighton Vander Esch does.
You think about Sean Lee. I mean, he's always been everywhere, all over the field, but you kind of seen his injuries kind of take a little bit of a toll on him, and they really need that linebacker that can kind of cover the tight ends and all that kind of stuff. And Leighton should definitely be that type of guy. And you said a lot of people were skeptical about him because of his neck injuries. And
I say before you critique a player, you watch the player first, But Cowboy fans are Cowboy fans, and so it is what it is. They're on par with the New York Jets or the Philadelphia Eagles. But Villa 806 says he's going to replace Sean Lee, and Sean Lee's on his last year of his deal. I do agree with that. I think Sean Lee, who's 32 years old, who I don't know if y'all have ever seen All In with the Dallas Cowboys.
I haven't got a chance, but I've been wanting
It's pretty
to.
good. I'm on episode 4.
Yeah.
But you can see the frustration the coaches have with Sean Lee. I think they are sort of, kind of getting fed up with his injury, history. And I could see Leighton Vander Esch take over for him.
Oh, yeah,
maybe
definitely.
next year. And then
Man, you kind of look at it, I mean, like, this whole offseason's kind of been, like, really off for the Cowboys. And when you think about Dez and everything's kind of happening last minute, and you think about after the draft, how today Jason Witten just kind of said that he's going to retire and go to ESPN for Monday Night and all that kind of stuff. And you don't know if that kind of might have played a factor and if they kind of traded back or try to get a tight end.
Most people, including my brother, wanted the Cowboys to trade up to draft Derwin James.
Yeah.
And I can see why.
Mm-hmm.
They need safety help. They do have 2 young corners and Byron Jones, who Byron Jones is very inconsistent.
Yeah.
Struggles in man coverage, but zone coverage is pretty good.
They don't know what he wants to be like half the time.
They keep moving him, and that's their own fault. They do it to themselves. This is an athletic specimen who they just can't figure out what his best position is. But they do have 2 solid corners, up-and-coming corners, in Jordan Lewis and number 33, Awuzie. Cowboys' defense is on the up and up.
Oh, they definitely are. And now,
are they going to be able to pay DeMarcus Lawrence? I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why they took Taco Charlton last year.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of look at their whole kind of unit as a whole, and you kind of see their offense kind of looking like they're kind of struggling in a way, but then they kind of went and made slight moves.
And this is the year Dak Prescott has to make that jump into the top-notch quarterbacks like Tony Romo was, who year in and year out carried bad defenses. Mm-hmm. So can Dak Prescott be that kind of guy to carry a horrible defense like Tony Romo did many years? It's kind of a wait-and-see type thing.
Is he coming back?
If he has another mediocre season, maybe we're looking at 2019. Dallas Cowboys might be selecting Drew Lock, quarterback from Missouri. So, I don't know. It's going to be a pretty interesting season for the Dallas Cowboys, that's for sure. So at number 20, we're getting into the 20s now. I feel like we're kind of flying by this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Frank Ragnow, center from Arkansas, who I was kind of hoping my Minnesota Vikings would take at number 30, but the Detroit Lions take him at 20.
A lot of people just kind of say it's a Matt Patricia type of move,
And it's exactly how I viewed it.
And a lot of people think that he's going to probably play guard in that type of offense.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a need. And you got your... they ended up drafting a running back later on, did they?
Yeah, they ended up taking the kid from Johnson, Kerryon Johnson from Auburn. Who's going to be I think that might make LeGarrette Blount expendable because they're kind of the same player, but Johnson's a little bit more explosive in that regard.
And you look at it, trying to protect Stafford,
they got to protect number 9. And
it all depends on kind of how he plays. And
that is true, yeah. Because that offensive line, they pay big money to Ricky Wagner, the right tackle from Baltimore, who they brought over from Baltimore. And he was very inconsistent in his first year in Detroit. They want to shore up that offensive line. Like I said, a lot of teams are trying to mold what the Titans and what the Cowboys have done.
And you look at Stafford, too, last year. I mean, there's some games that he was just kind of had me in awe. He was just making a lot of great throws. And
I think for years you're seeing... If he wasn't on this team, this would definitely be a 1-15 team.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But they do have some pieces. Darius Slay, who is a beast of a corner.
Anza.
Ziggy Ansah. Which I put money that this is going to be his last year. They just don't have the cap space to pay that kind of money to him. So maybe this might be a surprise team in 2018.
Definitely.
Which I kind of hope it's not, but it could be a surprise team for me. And at number 21, this could be a reach. Billy Price, center guard from Ohio State, goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a guy who has a torn right biceps, I believe, and they took him at 21. A lot of people thought he was going to fall to the second, third round. I was kind of hoping, again, the Vikings might have took him to pair with Pat Elflein, but he goes to Cincinnati.
Yeah, you kind of look at it, and you kind of watch Andy Dalton last year, and there's some games where you're just like, this guy looks completely terrible. And
then there's games where he's just lining up, isn't it? Yeah.
That line was very inconsistent. I mean, he was running for his life half the time.
And that's because, they lost a really good left tackle, Andre Whitworth, but they did trade for Cordy Glenn, the left tackle from Buffalo, who... is going to be an upgrade to whoever they had last year.
Yeah, definitely.
They did lose Zeitler, who was a big loss, but they replaced him with Billy Price. So the offensive line is going to be better next year. It's definitely going to be better. And it's going to help their running game. Joe Mixon's, I think, for any of you fantasy football guys, Joe Mixon's could be a candidate for a breakout season next year. They were dead last in running, and they definitely won't repeat that, that's for sure. So at 22, Rashaan Evans, linebacker, Alabama, goes to the Titans. And Mike Vrabel's first year as a head coach. What do you make of that pick?
Well, they lost their linebacker from last year, Avery Williamson, and they definitely had a need there. And you saw them kind of be very active in free agency with like Deion Lewis pickup and
in an area where they struggle is the run, and Rashaan Evans is perfect for the run. They have to shore up that run defense. And the pass defense still needs some work. They took a Dory Jackson last year. They got Logan Ryan, and they paid big money to Malcolm Butler. So
they're kind of banking on their defense. I mean, you kind of, why I see it, they kind of just hope Mariota comes out there and makes a lot of plays.
And plays like Mariota from 2016, not 2017. Which, in the playoffs, Mariota did show glimpses of that old version of Mariota. He did play really, really solid. And I'm a Mariota believer. I really am.
I'm a big fan of Derrick Henry, too. I mean, I want to see him play one full year now. And
just give that beast the rock.
You saw what he did. Crazy.
You saw what he did to the Kansas City Chiefs. he just ate them up. He ate them up, man. And if the Chiefs can go back, they'd give the ball to Kareem Hunt, that's for sure. But yeah, this is a very solid pick. And in Mike Vrabel's very first year, they go defense. And what better way for a linebacker to take on another linebacker? So, Patriots, Super Bowl runner-ups. Number 23, they trade Brandon Cooks to the LA Rams for their first-round pick, and they end up with 23. And people thought, well, this could be Lamar Jackson. No, it was Isaiah Wynn, guard tackle from Georgia, who could potentially replace Nate Solder on the offensive line.
I definitely like the pick. I mean, they went with a need, and you hear Bill Belichick talk all the time. They just want value, but they definitely came in there and they kind of gave a little bit of support to Tom Brady, and there's been a lot of stuff going on this offseason about them maybe drafting a quarterback and all that kind of stuff. And they came in here like, Tom's our guy. We want to protect him. We want to make sure he has kind of the offensive weapons that he needs to get us to another Super Bowl.
Yeah, and this is a pick that I thought was a solid pick. I also think this is a pick that the Patriots didn't want to make. I think as soon as Baker Mayfield went number one, maybe they were into Sam Darnold as well. Maybe they said, well, there goes kind of our draft board. Let's just take best player available, and I think this is exactly what they did. They took best player available on their draft board.
And you heard rumors about them even really liking Lamar Jackson, but you don't know.
Yeah, as soon
if
as
they're just kind of floating that out.
As soon as they took Isaiah Wynn, I immediately assumed they just it was all just a fluke. It was just smoke in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
That Jackson wasn't their guy. But I guess they believe that they could possibly squeeze a couple more solid years from Tom Brady. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Sooner or later, he's bound to break down. I mean,
it's crazy.
Zeus himself, But 24, Carolina Panthers. DJ Moore, wide receiver from Maryland, gives Cam Newton another weapon.
I like that pick a lot. I mean, they lost. Who was it? Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin. And, I've seen Kelvin play the last few years, and he thought he was kind of on that edge of kind of breaking out. And then you think about what he did the year before, and he just wasn't the same type of player. And
I think that knee injury really took a toll on that 6'5", 240-pound body. He kind of lost a lot of his explosiveness. But they still have Curtis Samuel, the receiver they drafted in the second round from Ohio State. Devin Funchess, Torrey Smith, Carolina's wide receiving group, and Christian McCaffrey coming out of the backfield catching that 60, 70 passes.
And they don't have to worry about Jonathan Stewart back there anymore. I mean, they can just completely unleash him. And
Cam Newton's definitely. Are we going to see 2015 Cam Newton?
Possibly. That'd be crazy. I mean,
especially if this DJ Moore kid hits. He's got a lot of comparisons to Stephon Diggs, but a bigger version of Stephon Diggs. So yeah, I mean, I like this pick. I really like this pick. This is a solid pick. This next pick though, it's kind of a hit or miss type thing. I don't know how I felt about it. Baltimore goes with Hayden Hurst, tight end, from South Carolina. Not because of the player, but because of they took Max Williams, Crockett Gilmore. It seems like they're just drafting tight ends every year. They just cannot hit on a tight end. Dennis Pitta was like their last solid tight end. They just cannot hit on these tight ends, and I'm kind of worried that Hayden Hurst is just gonna fall victim to that because Joe Flacco maybe just hates tight ends. I don't know.
I mean, like you said, he's a big arm guy that likes to throw down the field.
He likes throwing deep.
Maybe they got him because they knew they were gonna get Lamar Jackson, and maybe they might. Yeah, they have Greg Roman there now, and he likes to throw to their tight ends. You see him in San Francisco. I mean,
Vernon Davis.
Yeah, I mean, they use their tight ends quite a bit. I mean, maybe that's a Greg Roman pick, you know. And I mean, he just liked that tight end, and so if they can get a 40 to 50 catch season from this guy, I think that's pretty serviceable where he should be. You know, especially where he's drafted. He's a big target. He's 6'5", 250.
Kind of reminds me of Hunter Henry, you know, but he's a little older. I think he's already 24. He played pro baseball. He just couldn't throw the fastball, so he decided to go back to college and try his hand at football. But yeah, I mean, and I think in the third round they ended up taking Mark Andrews, another tight end from Oklahoma. So I didn't like the picks, but I see Ozzie Newsome, one of the greatest tight ends ever put on the pads. He just loves tight ends. I guess he just loves taking them. Now, you know, Baltimore has about 18 different tight ends, and you know, we'll see. About one of them's bound to hit, right? So at 26, Alabama, Calvin Ridley goes home to Atlanta, Georgia.
That was a crazy pick. I mean,
this is a guy that at the beginning of the draft process, everybody had him pegged as a top 10 pick. Most polished receiver in the draft class. He does have age concerns. He's already, I think, 24. He turns 24 in December. Came out after his junior season, but best receiver prospect from Alabama since Amari Cooper. A pure route runner, great route runner. He's going to complement Julio Jones perfectly. Oh yeah,
definitely. I think Julio Jones is going to get all the attention no matter what, and he's just going to sit right there, and he's just going to have all these open looks all game long, and he's not going to have to worry about double teams and that the typical like first round picks, you know, might get.
And you're immediately he's going to take over the Taylor Gabriel role, although he's a bigger, not as fast as Taylor Gabriel, but you know, a bigger receiver who fits perfectly with that offense, I believe. So I like the pick. They're definitely trying to hang on to that 2016 offense that they once had.
It's too bad they don't have Kyle, though.
Matt Ryan just signed a new 5-year, $150 million contract this year. Or today.
$100 million guaranteed.
$100 million guaranteed. So
that's crazy.
They definitely think that he's going to take them to the promised land in the near future.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a solid pick. I like it. I give it a solid B.
Oh, yeah.
But the most questionable pick, I know we talked about reaching and whatnot, but the most questionable pick has to be Rashad Penny.
Yeah, especially with all the other running backs that were kind of on the board still, and the running backs that played at a higher level, like conference-wise, and it's definitely, a lot of people thought it was a reach. I mean, he was very productive at the place he played, but he didn't play this high-level players that these other guys played.
Yeah, that is true. And Pete Carroll in his post-draft press conference views him as a 3-down back, says that they're ready to pull the trigger on him at number 18 had they not traded, you know, that pick to move back. They're ready to pull the trigger on Rashad Penny. And there's rumors that Cleveland was going to take him at number 33 had he been there. So obviously Seattle wasn't the only team that was very high on Rashad Penny. But like I said, this is a deep running back class.
And think about it like as questionable. I mean, they lost a lot of different people in the offseason. I mean, they had a lot of needs. And
they did have a lot, you know, and this...
I mean, running back's always been kind of a need, but I think they're kind of trying to put some weapons on Russell Wilson.
And for as little and small in stature as Russell Wilson is, how many more hits can that guy take? You know,
they're definitely putting on him, trying to hopefully, like, I've seen him just as much as I hate watching the Seahawks.
He's fun to watch.
He's fun to watch, and he wills his team to victories, and I think that's kind of what this pick shows.
That is exactly true. But if you don't get 1,000 to 1,100 yards from this guy, I don't think that's going to justify.
Oh yeah, definitely
his
not.
first round status. You know, this
especially
is a guy
with the needs that they had.
Yeah, this is definitely a guy that could have been a second round pick and kind of eased him in there. But I think you're going to have to play him in there as an every down guy. And we talked a little bit about Tremaine Edmonds earlier, and his brother Terrell Edmonds goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 28. Safety from Virginia Tech.
I mean, a lot of people said that he was kind of a reach too, but I mean,
yeah.
Man, just looking at like the stats that he had in 2016, he was put as a linebacker, and he had 101 tackles.
Yeah.
4.5 of them were for a loss, and he had 4 interceptions. I mean, then his size, his stature kind of fit more towards a kind of a safety, you know, and they put him at safety the next year. And 2017, he had 61 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and he still had 2 interceptions. I mean, you kind of look at this athleticism, and you kind of see the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you hope
now
that they kind of...
They do need secondary help. I mean, they're real high on Arnie Burns, who is a solid corner. He's still very young. Joe Hayden gets hurt if he just walks out of the bathtub. I thought corner was going to be the area of need here. I thought Mike Hughes would have been the pick. Maybe a Josh Jackson might have been the pick. He would have fit perfect with that Pittsburgh Steelers culture. But they go safety. But why this safety when Justin Reed, Ronnie Harrison, safeties like that were still on the board? Honestly, I thought this was the 4th rated safety in the draft class, but
you kind of think about like
Mike Tomlin has 2 Super Bowl rings, and I have 0. So
you kind of think about like pre-draft like visits and all that kind of stuff too, like kind of how Mayfield was. And they said that he just like kind of wowed the Browns whenever he walked in, and maybe that's kind of what he did. I mean, he just kind of stood out to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he thought he was just going to be that guy to put in the work and become a great player.
Now, I guess, envision Terrell Edmonds as a free safety because they did sign Morgan Burnett from Green Bay, who is more suited as a strong safety. But I see Terrell Edmonds as a strong safety in the NFL as opposed to a free safety. But I could see why they made the pick. I like the pick. Kind of like the pick.
I mean, he's productive, you know.
Yeah, productive player. But he's never played without his brother, and vice versa. So we'll see how they end up playing without each other. Now the Jacksonville Jaguars, I love this pick because this kind of shows that this is the new Jacksonville Jaguars. This isn't the Jaguars of old, where we're gonna just take a player, a position need. This is a player that they took because he's the best player available. That's what you see a lot of these great teams, like the Patriots, like the Eagles, like the Vikings, who are picking on the top of the draft. They take best player available as opposed to position of need.
I mean, sometimes they got to do that because they're kind of later in the draft, you know, and if they kind of take a need, it might not be a very good player. And like you said, they just went out there and got the best player available for their team.
And they take Taven Bryan, defensive tackle from Florida, who is just, if you watch this kid, is fast off the ball. It's fast. Now you pair him with Calais Campbell, Dante Fowler, Malik Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
This Jacksonville Jaguars defensive line is on par with the best in football.
Oh, definitely.
By far. And a lot of people said, well, I can see Lamar Jackson falling here to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this just shows how much they really believe in Blake Bortles at the end of the day. So I really love this pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars because it just shows this is their new identity. This is who they are.
They're just going to be a dominant defensive team, and hopefully Bortles just comes out there and gives them what they need, you know?
Bortles played lights out in the playoffs,
yeah, he did.
and I absolutely loved what he did in the playoffs. He did the moment wasn't too big for him.
Oh, yeah.
They honestly should have been in the Super Bowl. They outplayed the Patriots for 3.5 quarters. And TB12 just became TB12 at the end of the day. Everybody falls victim to it.
I kind of wanted them to kind of move up maybe and get a wide receiver. They lost 2 receivers and 2 big-bodied receivers, but they had the D.D. Westbrook kind of bust out last year
Yeah.
preseason. He was hurt for a little while, but once he came back, he was very productive for them. And I think that's why they kind of let those other two walk without a problem.
Yeah, but a solid draft by Dave Caldwell and the Jacksonville Jaguars organization. Number 30, finally, my Minnesota Vikings.
Uh-oh.
They take Mike Hughes, corner from UCF, who a lot of people, including myself, believe had this kid not gotten into the trouble that he got into, would have been a top 10 to 15 pick in the NFL draft.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
A lot of people view him as the best cover corner in the draft. He's a little undersized.
Yeah.
But he fits perfectly with what Mike Zimmer does. And Vikings went with best player available, it looks like. So I love this pick. I absolutely love it. You can ask Charlie Weiss how I feel about this pick. And I think it just shows that, hey, we got these big contracts coming up with Danielle Hunter, Anthony Barr, Trey Waynes, Stephon Diggs. Can't pay them all.
Yeah.
So I think Trey Waynes is going to be on his way out, who is a solid corner. He's turned out to be a very solid corner. And Mike Hughes, I think immediately day one starts at the nickel position for the Vikings. I love the pick.
And last year, I mean, he had 49 total tackles, and that kind of shows that he's not afraid to tackle.
Nope.
Like,
That's
kind
one
of
of his
go in there
strong
and
suits.
get the running backs, you know.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what you like to see from young players trying
Yeah.
to make a niche in the NFL, you know.
And he's going to a secondary who, dare I say, was kind of exposed in the NFC Championship. They were just tired because the front four for the Vikings just could not apply enough pressure to the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter were just winded by the time the NFC Championship rolled around.
Yeah, definitely.
And kind of Nick Foles, we made him look like a messiah.
I mean, he looked like a messiah the whole playoffs. Not
That is
just with
true.
the
It made me
Vikings,
feel
I
better
mean.
when I saw him do it to the Patriots,
Oh,
too.
yeah, definitely.
You know? But I love this pick. Now we have literally 3 to 5 corners deep who can go out there and cover.
Then that just kind of re-signed Terrence Williams. I mean,
Terrence Newman, we
Newman,
signed Terrence
yeah,
Newman. And can this 78-year-old cornerback continue to play?
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to give us 15 to 20 snaps. He's there for leadership,
Exactly.
you know. And we got Harry the Hitman, Andrew Sendejo. I love this pick by the Minnesota Vikings. Great all-around pick, but that's from a fan's perspective. I could see from a football perspective, everybody thought, well, they should go interior line. They need guard. They lost Joe Berger to retirement. But then on the other hand, Will Hernandez was there.
Yeah.
Corbet was there. I honestly don't believe Rick Spielman was in love with those guys.
I mean, with the Kirk Cousins type quarterback, you can kind of, with the kind of a bad offensive line, you kind of have Kirk Cousins loves to throw to his running back. He always has that check down receiver there. Whenever he's in trouble, he can easily check it down to Dalvin Cook whenever healthy. And I mean, like I said, like I can kind of see them not going offensive line just for that reason.
Yeah. And I think ultimately what the plan is for the Vikings is they plan to move Mike Reimers, who was right guard, or right tackle, primarily right tackle for the Vikings last year. They're going to slide him to the right guard position, who he played left guard for the injured Nick Easton in that divisional and NFC Championship game, and he was very solid in that position. I think they're going to play him that right guard, and they're going to have Colton Miller, Brian O'Neill, who we took in the second round, and Rashad Hill battle for that right tackle position is what they plan to do. And I honestly, I love the Mike Hughes pick. It's a great, solid pick. Now, going to the chats, Villa806 says, shout out to Ryan and his engagement. Congratulations, buddy.
I appreciate that, man. It's definitely it was definitely great. I mean,
We invited?
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah? Where we going? Taco Bell? Or where are you going to have the wedding? Lee Force?
We'll more than likely end up. Her parents kind of live in Mexico, so I don't know if we might kind of go out that way.
All right, I'll add y'all on Skype. But moving on. At number 31, Sony Michel, running back. Georgia goes to the Patriots in a crowded backfield. They got Mike Gillislee, Jeremy Hill. I'm forgetting 2 more. Burkhead. And now we got Sony Michel, who is... Do you view this as a reach?
You kind of see they lost Dion Lewis, and I think they're kind of hoping that he kind of comes in and fills that role that Dion Lewis had with them. And I mean, you kind of see he doesn't really jump off the charts when it comes to receiving yards, but he definitely kind of he caught some balls whenever he needed to, and he's an in-between tackle type of player, and it might be a little bit of a reach, but you know, like losing a player like Dion Lewis, I think.
Now they do have James White that can kind of alleviate that sort of Dion Lewis type role. But Dion Lewis beasted in the postseason and kind of cashed in with the Titans.
Oh yeah, he did.
But I love the pick. I love the Sonny Michel pick. This is actually, if you look at him play, he plays bigger than what he is. He can be a north-south runner if he wants to. Him and Nick Chubb both. Very, very solid pick by the Patriots. I like this pick. A lot of people viewed it as not even a position of need, but this was the best available player pick. And like I said, but most of the best teams in the NFL, they pick best player available.
Yeah.
So I like the pick. Very solid pick.
And Villa, he kind of mentioned Gillislee. He thinks he's the odd man out, and I kind of agree with him in a way. He came out, he had that big first game, which really he didn't do a whole lot. He just scored a lot of touchdowns, and they really didn't get a whole lot of production out of him all year, you know. Yeah. He had his few games where he'd get in the end zone and all that kind of stuff, but
yeah.
I
think I know because I picked him up in fantasy, and it was just a disaster from the beginning. He had those 2 really good games, and he just... Bill Belichick just hates him, so he just benched him for like the last 8 weeks. So that's why I'm picking second. Neither here nor there. But we've made it to the very last pick of the first round, and the Philadelphia Eagles, who I believe in the comment section, let me scroll up a little bit. Capital says, how do you feel about the Eagles' first round pick? Well, they didn't have a first-round pick because what they did is they traded their first-round pick. They moved back. They wanted to acquire more picks, and they did that. And Baltimore moves up to the number 32 pick, and they take Lamar Jackson, quarterback, at Louisville.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at the Baltimore type of their offense. I mean, at one point they had Tyrod Taylor, and then all of a sudden you see them get – he ends up in Buffalo, and then – you see them kind of get RG3, and now they end up coming for Lamar Jackson. And I mentioned Greg Roman earlier. I mean, he played with Colin Kaepernick, so he's kind of used to those mobile type of quarterbacks. And you kind of seen a little bit, kind of looking back in the Tyrod days, that they might have been thinking about kind of going into a different type of quarterback, you know? I mean, because Lamar Jackson's definitely the complete opposite of Joe Flacco.
Yeah. And this is a guy that has accuracy issues. There's people that was even questioning if he can even play football. I mean, you had an anonymous, offensive coordinator come out and say that this guy's going to be a disaster at the next level. Can he play quarterback? I mean, he's definitely going to get a shot because of that first round, thing on his resume. He's got to get a shot. So this can turn out to be a great pick by the Baltimore Ravens. Or it could be a disaster of a pick for the Baltimore Ravens. But I think if it turns out to be a disaster in terms of him being a quarterback, you're going to see him maybe shift to receiver position, where a lot of people viewed him as a better prospect anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one reason why he didn't run the 40 either.
He wanted to show teams that.
Yeah, he didn't care about his 40. He wanted to be a quarterback. And I don't know, I kind of think the Ravens are all in on him. You look at Flacco, and he's
kind of regressed. Every year it seems like he's just
ever since the Super Bowl.
Regressing.
I mean, he's kind of been on a downtrend, and
ever since he signed that contract.
Yeah, and then talking about the contract next year, he's not owed any guaranteed money. After this year, he's not owed any guaranteed money.
So they can bail out, huh?
Yeah, they can just kind of say see you later if they want, and you might kind of see, like, if Flacco doesn't have a great beginning first half of the season, you might see Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Well, towards the end of the year.
A very, very interesting first round. A very interesting draft. There was
unpredictable.
Unpredictables. You saw running back Darius Guice, running back from LSU. He fell all the way to the Redskins at pick 59. And
Josh
Redskins
Jackson,
got a top 20 selection in Darius Guice. People had, questions about his character.
Yeah.
Then you see picks like Brian O'Neill, the tackle from Pittsburgh who went to the Vikings. People viewed him as a third-round pick, but then he went in the second.
It's kind of funny with the Steelers drafting Rudolph
Yeah.
Oklahoma State.
And then Mason Rudolph
Yeah.
goes third round, who I view him as a second round pick, but ends up going third round.
And then you have like Roethlisberger now, kind of. Last year he was like, oh, I think I might retire. Then
Now he's like a Brett Favre. Year to year, I'm going to evaluate my stance to the
like
organization.
earlier today, he kind of said something. It might have been yesterday. He said that that's good that he might be my backup sometime soon or sometime, but I plan on playing 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he just kind of completely changed his stance after that pick happened.
I think kind of what Green Bay did with Brett Favre, they'll get tired of his antics.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Kind of ship him out, and that's even if Mason Rudolph even is the guy. Who knows? But that wraps up the first round. Wraps up the very first Epic Sports Show.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you like what you heard, make sure to give us a follow and turn on notifications to alert you when we will be going live next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. and every Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
Yes.
That's the plan, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I think next week we are kind of thinking about going into team grades, off-season grades. If you guys in the comment section have any suggestions for us, throw them out in the comment section, and we'll be willing to sort of hear you guys out. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Epic Sports Show and give our Facebook a like.
And the links are on our Twitch profile page.
Yep.
So.
Our links are on there. Thank you, and good night.
Yep. Yeah, have a good one.